Go back, Mycroft. No, go back. Back inside. Would you like me to sit here? Is this a good place to sit? All right. Let us begin. Hello, my name is Arthur Conan Doyle. I have been asked to welcome you to the Milton Centre of the Arts. Normally, the director and producer of the theatrical production you are about to see would come on stage and make a few announcements. But one very insightful individual has had the forethought to approach me for this task for future use. First of all, if I am to understand the world you live in 90 years hence, there is a small robotic device that you all worship and for the very of your day-to-day existence called a cell phone. Apparently, not only have these evil mechanical overlords softened your brain, but they are loud and highly disturbing at the most inopportune moments. I would ask that you turn them off, and I am specifically addressing the gentleman in the second row. The play you are about to see is divided into two acts. At the end of Act 1, there will be a 15-minute intermission. At that time, should you choose, you may partake in a liquid libation at the bar, which is located just outside the theatre doors if you turn left. Milton players have asked me to encourage you to drink, and they feel that everything is funnier once someone has imbibed. If you need to relieve yourself, both the water closets for the men and the women are located out the doors on your right, near that great staircase in the main foyer. I have been informed that smoking will not be as permitted in the future as it is currently, and that there will be no smoking indoors. Absurd rule, I know. As a medical man, I can attest to the healing powers of a good grade of tobacco. However, if you feel the urge to light up a pipe or a good cigar, you will unfortunately have to go outside. If you would like to try your hand at a game of chance, there will be 50-50 tickets sold during intermission, and the winner of the draw will be announced just prior to Act 2. The more tickets you buy, the better your chance of winning, and from what I understand, the amounts can be quite substantial. Now sit back, relax, and let me take you 30 years into the past to an adventure I had when I was a much younger and better looking man. To present to you the reluctant resurrection of Sherlock Holmes. All right, let us go back inside and have a cup of tea. Good boy. Thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy.
a love that can never be, Thomas. Our love confounds the heavens and is an affront to all virtue. Our love has upset the natural balance and must end, lest it bring an end to all we cared about. Goodbye, my love, who is loved no more. By the way, thank you for the wonderful evening.
Yes. Yvonne! Yvonne! God. Where are you, girl? Yvonne! Yvonne! Left, sir. Left? Yvonne, when? During the night. She left a note. Yes, of course. Yeah. She was the last of the maids, so I thought I'd tidy a bit before your guest arrives.
Well, very good, Scrimshaw. What nonsense is this? This is nothing but gibberish.
It's written in French, sir.
Oh, good God, why?
She was French, sir.
Oh, indeed. Well, what does she say, man?
Oh, of course. She addresses herself to you, Mr. Westhaven.
Good place to start.
Indeed. She intimates the conditions here become intolerable. She'll get to it. Oh, she wishes to terminate her tenure.
But intolerable? For what possible reason would she run off into the night without a word?
There is the small matter of the ghost, sir.
Poppycock.
It has been seen, sir.
Stuff and nonsense. No such creature. It is pure fiction, and I know fiction.
Nonetheless.
There is no nonetheless about it. We'll soon put an end to all this blasted, ghostly piddly-wash. Soon as my guest arrives. Now, where is the man?
Thomas went to the station to collect the gentleman, sir. He should arrive shortly if the train from London...
A good dose of common sense is what we need around here.
Yes, sir.
We need logic and rationality. The skills of a scientific detective. We need Sherlock Holmes. Or the next best thing is a storm on the horizon. There is tragedy in the air. Who knows what the fates will bring us? Good Lord, Scrimshaw, what are you doing just standing about? How did you ever become the maid when there's still work to be done in the study? Come along, man, dust! Dust!
As you wish, sir.
Desmond, is that Scrimshaw in an apron?
Yes, Abigail, he's the chambermaid now, but he had better keep his mind on his work, or I'll demote him to laundress.
As you say, dear. So Yvonne has left now too?
Oh, froggy turncoat. She was French, you know. Abandoning a household when there's still the top of the shelves to do.
Well, I'm sure it must be very difficult to keep your mind on household tasks, what with the current difficulties. As Cook said when she flew down the lane, you know it's time to leave your job when the dead pops in for tea.
I will hear no idle talk about ghosts. It is beyond reason.
So was the cook.
There is no ghost.
Oh, I think there is, dear. I saw it last night.
Abigail, no.
Last night I went to open the window for some air, and there it was, standing on the west lawn.
Whatever you saw, I maintain it was no phantom.
It vanished into thin air.
Well, so have all the servants. I don't hear anyone calling them ghosts. Mr. Doyle will put things right. He's a doctor, you know, quite scientific.
You don't say.
And he has done more to advance the cause of logical deduction than any other man since the time of Socrates. Not only that, he created Sherlock Holmes.
He also killed him, Desmond.
Oh, he did not.
I distinctly remember you wearing a black crepe armband for an entire year.
Out of respect, but Doyle didn't kill Holmes. Professor Moriarty did.
Ah, and who created Professor Moriarty?
Sherlock Holmes cannot be dead. He's a fictional character, for one thing, and despite being dead, he is as alive today as he ever was.
Much like the ghost.
Did you know that people still write letters to 221B Baker Street asking for the assistance of Sherlock Holmes, even 2 years after his retirement?
Waste of good postage, if you ask me.
Abigail,
There is no ghost. I remember, dear.
I knew I could count on you, my dear.
If Mr. Doyle can restore order to this household, then I shall welcome him with a glad heart. I just want things back to the way they were.
As do I, my love.
Everything was so lovely before.
Before what?
The ghost.
It's no ghost.
Well, I believe you, dear, but I don't think anyone else will.
When Mr. Doyle arrives, I'll make sure he has a long talk with everyone in the household. He'll soon puncture this fantasy before... Where's Rose?
Rose? Oh, I believe she went to the station to meet Mr. Doyle.
Went. With Thomas. Has this entire household lost their wits? I distinctly told her she was spending too much time with that lad.
They like each other.
It's improper. She's my daughter. She's meant for better things.
He's a nice enough boy.
Oh, he's a servant. Our servant.
One of the few servants we have left. I should think you'd want to keep him happy.
Has this entire household gone mad? The sooner Mr. Doyle arrives...
Sir, the carriage has entered the laneway. I do believe that Mr. Doyle has arrived.
Do I have the pleasure of addressing Mr. Arthur Conan Doyle?
Oh, and you must be Desmond Westhaven.
It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, sir.
I've seen you perform many times. This is indeed a signal honor.
No, I insist the honor is all mine, but this is almost like meeting Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. I have read all your Sherlock Holmes stories, Mr. Doyle. I feel as if I know the man.
Impossible. He's fiction.
Well, of course I know that.
It's so nice to see you again, Arthur.
But one likes to think of Holmes as though a real person, doesn't one? In any case, welcome to Battler Grange, Mr. Doyle.
No, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead.
Was he like this in the carriage? No, he was normal.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes, Sam. Always a pleasure to come to Portsmouth. I see you have a beautiful view of the Channel.
It's close enough to see, but far enough that you can't smell it. It's one of the first things I noticed when I bought the place. That and the river, of course. It's wonderful trout fishing. Isn't that so, Scrimshaw?
In theory, sir.
I saw they were improving the road as I came in.
I'll admit I pulled a few strings. Complain enough and anything comes your way.
How long have you lived here?
Oh, 2 years now. After a fruitful career in the theater, I came to realize the only roles left for me were either King Lear or Juliet's nurse. So I retired to the country. Now all I have left are my memories. And the house, of course.
Oh, my husband exaggerates. He still performs on occasion.
Mostly by the serving staff.
Yes, we have had the pleasure of serving as audience to Mr. Westhaven's many recitations.
Your staff seems to have dwindled.
The gods. Cowards and turncoats. As an actor, I'm used to things bumping in the night. What? Oh, good heavens, I forget myself. Mr. Doyle, please allow me to introduce my wife, Abigail.
Mr. Doyle.
And you've already met my daughter, Rose?
Yes, charming girl.
You flatter me, Mr. Doyle. Do you feel well, Mr. Doyle? You seem a little flushed.
What? Oh, no, I'm feeling perfectly fine, yes. The atmosphere seems to have cleared itself quite nicely. Nothing unusual at all.
That's what you think. Well, now that that's settled, Tomas, take Mr. Doyle's belongings to the guest room. There's a good lad. And now, Mr. Doyle.
And now, let us address the matter at hand.
Precisely.
The ghost.
The ghost.
The ghost. I like a man who keeps his mind on his
Oh,
business.
the case sounds fascinating.
Indeed.
Although I felt your letter was missing many details.
Well, I wrote quickly.
I shall require more information if I am to deal with this matter.
Of course.
Who has seen the ghost?
The servants.
I have seen it.
Oh, you are?
Robert Scrimshaw.
The butler.
The butler.
More than a butler. He's been with me for years.
And you have seen it?
Yes, sir.
And I have seen it.
Abigail.
Hey, Mother.
The ghost?
Yes.
Oh no.
Last night I was unable to sleep.
Oh no.
So 2 sightings.
Two here
Others have seen it.
and left.
And what did you see, Mrs. Westhaven?
A woman all in white, glowing somehow. She floated over the west lawn, remaining in one spot for some time, and then she vanished.
I have seen it many
Oh,
times.
you have?
I have. Last night I saw it in the house, in this room to be exact. It was by the window. Details were difficult to discern, but I had the impression it was in some way a feminine creature.
Poor cursed creature.
Have you seen it?
Me?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
no?
No.
No.
Oh, who saw it last?
Mrs. John.
The cook.
When?
A month ago.
And where is she?
Mrs. Johns?
Yes.
Gone.
Left.
Also a month ago.
Amazing. This case exceeds all expectation.
Well, then you shall investigate the matter.
Of course.
Good.
Bravo! Oh, it is such a comfort to have this matter examined by a man such as yourself.
Oh, how can I
A
refuse?
man who is rational,
That's just what I'm looking for.
logical,
Undertaking the task of
scientific,
investigating
consulting
an absolutely
detective.
authentic haunting by a real ghost.
What did you just say?
There have been many corroborated sightings of spirits, but to have the opportunity to observe a true phantom and perhaps prove beyond a doubt the existence of an afterlife was beyond expectation.
What?
Mr. Doyle, do you mean to say you believe in ghosts?
Well, of course, who doesn't?
Well,
He's putting us on.
Indeed, I am not. No, I've been a student of spiritualism for many years.
Mr. Doyle, you surprise me. And my husband also, I believe.
Oh, lacking as we are in the certified spiritualist services, I shall require as much information as you can provide about the ghost.
You are intimately acquainted with spirits then, Mr. Doyle?
I've visited a number of mediums. I am firmly convinced that spirits of the dead interact with humanity on a regular basis.
And are such spirits always disagreeable? Rose!
Oh, indeed not. Although it has been my experience that it is the most unpleasant of characters that exert the greatest influence upon the living after their deaths.
And can a spirit ever...
Rose, will you and your mother please leave me with Miss Doyle for a moment?
Desmond, father!
Scrimshaw, you are dismissed.
As you wish, sir. Just don't make too much of a mess. Sir.
I shall require statements from your butler. Ooh, he might be the focal point of the psychic energies.
Desmond, you seem flushed.
Abigail, will you please do me the favor of leaving?
Come, Rose. Mother, I want to hear this. Come with me.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes, Mr. David.
Are you insane?
No, no, sir.
Do you have any idea why you are here?
The ghost.
You are here to provide the voice of reason. You are a scientific man. You are an accredited medical doctor, which is something of a sort of rational man.
Yes, but...
You are here to prove the ghost an illusion. I know illusions, Mr. Doyle. I built a career creating them. I have even played my fair share of spirits, and we both know that when someone is dead, they stay dead.
In actual fact...
For the last month, I have watched my house empty itself because someone claims to have seen such a thing as a corpse taking the night's air. I need a man with common sense, not sixth sense. Oh! I need Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I am not Sherlock Holmes.
But you created him.
Oh, that doesn't mean that I am him. I don't even like the fellow. Why do you think I stopped writing those stories?
What you created is every word and deed. Surely Holmes is a part of you.
Sherlock Holmes stands for everything that I despise. When I created the fellow, I was a spoiled physician with a failing practice and a desperate need to make money. I created him to put bread on the table. I never expected to write another story, but for some reason I still don't understand, people liked him. Lord knows I don't.
Well, Sherlock Holmes.
Dead! Sherlock Holmes was a self-centered, self-important misanthrope with poor manners and a reliance on cocaine. I tried to make him the most repulsive character I could.
You would, me, Doyle. After our long partnership.
That was my publishers that wanted more Sherlock Holmes stories, not I.
But it is Sherlock Holmes who I need.
He's dead.
I got better.
Well, you're the one who believes in ghosts. Bring him back.
I'm here to observe psychic phenomenon. Holmes would only get in the way. He would simply dismiss this entire case as superstitious nonsense and then spend the rest of the afternoon scrambling about on the floor looking for dust particles and trivia. He never could accept the impossible. However, if I am causing you such a task...
Come now, Doyle. Don't rush out. The game's not yet afoot.
This is not a game!
I never said it was.
When is the next train to London?
Oh, stay, damn you! I need this matter settled by someone and better a cockeyed crackpot than no one.
Oh. Go away!
Ha! I will have Scrimshaw make up your room.
Thank you. I'm sure you will get used to living with a restless spirit. You might even meet this ghost and become friends.
And perhaps, despite yourself, you shall find an opportunity to find the truth of this matter. Good day, Mr. Doyle.
Well, that did not go very well, did it?
Oh, nonsense, it was perfectly well. I'm not talking to you.
You must be. I am the only one in the room.
Oh, he's fantasy. He's pure fiction.
So's the ghost.
No, he's dead. He's dead. He's dead.
Battle of Grange. Have you caught the significance of the name?
Meaningless detail. Trivia. Mr. Doyle. Bloody hell. Don't you ever.
We must stop, Mr. Doyle. A thing of much importance. A matter of life and death and more. You will listen?
Well, of course, any chance I get to.
Then we talk. But not now. Danger of listeners hearing. Soon! Much talking to come. Okay.
What a strange lot.
Battle of Grange. There is significance in names.
I'm not listening.
Battler Bayflower.
I can't hear you.
Buffalo.
I can't hear you. I can't hear
Oh,
you.
this is childish.
And I never will play the wild rover no more. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never. Hello, I was just thinking. Thinking. What can you tell me about the ghost?
Don't change the subject, Doyle. You said you were thinking. Let us pursue this novelty.
I must apologize for my father's behavior, Mr. Doyle. He was unforgivably rude.
For instance, an examination of this room is in order.
Merely emotionally overwrought.
He is that. This whole business has upset the entire household. And when the household is upset, my father is upset.
The butler cited the supposed ghost in this room.
Yes, well, I have a theory that the psychic emanations from the spiritual plane can have adverse effects.
Oh, good Lord.
My father is a great actor, Mr. Doyle. To be a country gentleman has always been a dream of his, and I fear he plays the role as fervently as he did any on the stage. We just want things to return to normal.
As do we all.
And to achieve that end, we must approach the matter logically.
However, if I am to help this household return to some semblance of normality, I must have some more information about the ghost.
Guffaw?
It will do no good. The spectre is merely a symptom of a greater disruption.
Oh?
I have heard tell that the spirits will manifest themselves once the natural order has been upset.
That's been known to happen. Now, a ghost scene when Julius Caesar was killed, and also there's this wonderful...
Nonsense! Let us return to reality.
I am responsible for the ghost's appearance, Mr. Doyle!
Yeah, so much for reality.
I am the one who has upset the natural order and thus summoned the ghost.
How so?
I have fallen in love, sir.
With Tomas, the horseman.
Is it that obvious?
Childish infatuation.
Indeed, it is so. But my father disapproves. He wants our family to be respected, and Tomas is our servant. I just want to... Out of consideration for my family, I have tried to confound my love, but Tomas... He is a wonderful man, Mr. Doyle. So kind, so gentle. He reads to me the most lovely poetry, and we have only been together for a month. He can... You must excuse me, Mr. Doyle.
No excuse necessary, Miss Westhaven.
I always knew I was fated to fall in love, and I always knew it was to be an ill-fated love. A passion burning in my breast, but ever kept hidden from view. Burning, smouldering, consuming, but never to be revealed. The servant and the lady, worlds apart, but only a kiss away.
How many times have you read Wuthering Heights?
Maybe 24, why do you ask?
No reason to go on.
You're wasting time, Doyle.
I love him! Tomas, I mean. Despite my father. Despite myself, really. My father has suspected for some time now.
And did he confront you with those suspicions?
There are clues waiting to be discovered.
I had to tell him myself. He was horribly upset. He warned me to stay away from Tomas. He said that the consequences of such unnatural love could cause great damage. I promised I would see no more of dear Tomas.
While you're wasting time listening to confessions of the lovelorn,
Despite my promise, I continued to see my love, and soon after that, the ghost was seen for the first time.
there is work to be done.
I tried to tell myself the two events were unrelated, but as I continued to visit Tomas, the ghost was seen by more and more people.
She is nothing more than an emotionally overwrought female.
Shut up!
Pardon?
Do go on, my dear, please.
I hope you don't mind that I get to work while you listen to this twaddle.
I knew I could fool myself no longer. When I heard that my father had summoned you, I knew I had to bring the matter to an end. I contrived to accompany Tomas as he went to meet you at the station. Before we arrived, I told him that our love was but an illusion and I would have nothing more to do with him. I was rather cruel, I fear.
If you want any work done, you have to do it yourself.
And so you see, Mr. Doyle, your services are no longer required. The ghost shall be seen no more, though it breaks my heart to do so. all has been put aright.
Has it now? Miss Westhaven, I appreciate your concern on this matter, but until I can ascertain the exact source of the ectoplasmic manifestations, then we will not know whether or not your sacrifice will be of any effect.
'Tis a sacrifice I willingly make, Mr. Doyle. I am willing to suffer.
Yes, I am sure. And I will doubtless wish to speak with you more. However, in the meantime, would you allow me to make some private investigations of this room?
I understand, Mr. Doyle. You wish to be rid of me.
Miss Westhaven, that's not...
You think me the victim of some childish infatuation. I will have you know, I am a grown woman. I am the cause of all misfortune in this household, and I shall be the one to end it.
What a self-centered girl.
You're a fine one to talk.
But on the whole, I would say she is rather a typical example of her gender, overly sentimental and self-deluding. Indeed.
Shut up! What are you doing here?
There's a mystery here. Where else would I be more suited?
You belong in the literary supplements. There is no mystery here.
The people here claim to have seen a ghost.
That is a fact, not a mystery.
Hardly a fact. A theory, perhaps, but not a fact. Have you looked by the window?
The ghost has been seen by witnesses.
A correction. Something resembling a ghost has been seen by witnesses.
These people believe that they have seen a ghost.
Did you also ask them if they believe in Father Christmas?
I have nightmares about you.
I know.
If you don't mind, I wish to attune myself to the psychic resonances of this house.
I'm firmly convinced that people would stop trying to contact spirits if they were aware how foolish they looked.
Spirit, if you are still in the room, speak to me.
I believe there's some significance in the name of this place.
Speak, O spirits, and I shall listen.
Butler Grange. It is unusual.
I await your call, O spirit. What is so unusual about that?
What does the name suggest to you?
It is a French expression.
Indeed, I would even go so far as to say it is the local corruption of the name Barfleur. Now, what significance do you read into that?
Oh, stop playing these games. If you have something to say, then just say it. Your personal variation of the Socratic method might be all very well and good as a literary device, but in real life, it's just damned annoying.
The point of Barfleur lies directly across the channel from Portsmouth. Why would the builders of this house name it after a location in France?
I don't know. Maybe the first owner of the house vacationed there.
If the first tenant of his home named it after a place in another country, he must have had an intimate connection with that place.
And what might that connection be?
There's one intriguing possibility that comes to mind when one thinks of France.
Smuggling? Ha! Surely Desmond Westhaven is no smuggler. What possible significance could that have?
I do not know yet, but I am thinking on it.
Well, go away! You're interfering with my psychical contact.
Look! Look, by the window!
I never liked you.
Notice the dried mud. No doubt we have the absent cleaning staff to thank for its presence.
I write other things besides stories about Sherlock Holmes. Good stories. Stories worth reading.
It appears to have come from the river. Notice the dark color, relative softness, the fragment of reed caught within.
I have not devoted my life in the service of Sherlock Holmes.
Someone came from the river and stood by this window. Not big enough to get a sense of a shoe print. Note this, Watson.
Oh, I refuse to play your Dr. Watson.
2 impressions in the rug, approximately 2.5 feet apart.
My authorship of the Sherlock Holmes stories was a mere passing fancy.
Made by something fairly heavy and pointed.
I've had other literary successes.
I have read your other novels, Doyle. Pseudo-historical, romantic, and claptrap. You really should write with more realism.
I disposed of you! I pushed you off the edge of Reichenbach Fall!
You pushed me!
Professor Moriarty pushed you.
But I survived!
How?
You'll think of something!
Oh, there's no possible means of escape. You cannot be here.
Then maybe I'm the ghost?
Mock me!
You deserve to be mocked. Destroyed me. Come now. Whatever life I had has grown far beyond your control.
What kind of creature are you?
I am what you made me.
Ah! Are we alone?
Yes?
Are we alone? Oh, yes! Then we will talk. Soon! The walls have ears, and I must tell you of spirits. Soon! Oh, that sounds devilish.
It's your way of thinking. However, he does seem to think he knows something. In any case, I'm here to reveal this ghost what he really is.
As am I.
Oh, by proving this thing is truly a restless spirit of the dead?
Yes.
And how do you propose to do that?
I shall contact the spirits, I shall communicate with it, and I shall scientifically annotate it. I shall prove its supernatural nature.
Of course, I am bound to take the contrary course.
You have no imagination.
Whereas you have a great deal too much.
Go away. You're dead.
But I cannot stay dead.
Why not?
Because you are not dead?
Mr. Doyle, I thought you'd be in your room by now.
I have yet to be shown to my room, sir.
He's going fishing.
You're going fishing.
Too late to convince me of your deductive skills, Doyle.
It was merely an observation, dear.
Damned impertinent.
If we are to resolve this matter, we shall require further information concerning the ghost.
Oh, about the ghost.
Abigail is a writer.
What?
Oh, Desmond.
And a very good writer, too. So long as you are here, you should take a look at the novel she's currently working on. It's all about the history of the Grange.
Desmond, really?
She also knows the origin of the ghost, or whatever it is.
She does?
Pathetic.
And although you strike me as a fool, you are also a professional writer. Although it is not unknown for the two to go hand in hand.
Desmond, I must insist that
She's been working on it for a year now.
I have studied.
I'm going fishing.
I know.
We know.
Come along, Scrimshaw! Time and trout wait for no man! Apparently time and trout wait for one man, Scrimshaw! Ooh. It's not the size of the rod, it's the action of the wrist.
As you wish.
I'm going fishing!
They're inseparable, really.
Then you get along.
Forever. He's been Desmond's dresser, prompter, and valet. I think they would be lost without each other. Certainly, he's one of the few people who's grown used to my husband's eccentricity.
Oh, as have you.
Oh, yes. Desmond may be, well, a little theatrical, but he's a wonderful man. He's a great man. When I first met him, I was playing Lady Anne to his Richard III. I never met anyone so passionate, so powerful. Just as his Richard seduced my Anne, So did poor Abigail Parker fall under the spell of Desmond Westhaven. I swore I would have no man but he. I love him dearly, Mr. Doyle.
Despite Westhaven's reputation as a womanizer,
Mr. Westhaven is truly blessed to have such a faithful helpmate.
you heard the stories, Doyle. Remember the Duchess of Kent?
What can you tell me about the ghost?
Oh, well, it's a simple story, really.
Or a story for simpletons?
300 years ago, before the present range was built, this site was the center of operations for a smuggler named Ronald Corey.
Smuggling!
I suspected such a thing to go on, please.
Corey was reasonably successful in his trade, and it was rumored that he had amassed a substantial fortune which he kept in a vault in his house. Those rumors eventually attracted the attention of French bandits who one night attacked the house. Corey was alone with his wife Jane. Although the bandits demanded he hand over his fortune, the smuggler was made of sterner stuff and refused, swearing he would rather die than give up what was his.
Pay attention, Doyle. This could be your next bestseller.
What happened next?
The brute set fire to the house. Corey and Jane were forced to flee. In the course of doing so, Jane was killed by a musket ball. Corey was captured. Well, he was being tortured for the location of his hoard when neighbors, attracted by the flaming house, arrived. Corey was freed, but died 2 days later. The bandits were hanged for their crimes.
And the treasure?
Oh, it was never found.
Then the ghost must be
The restless spirit of Jane Corey. Well,
Fairy tales.
She was first seen soon after the events I have related, searching for her lost husband. Over a century later, the present grange was built on the former Corey site. In fact, the place where that window stands was the front door of the Corey household. The very spot where Jane Corey was killed.
Stuff and nonsense. If I were not more literary than literal, I would throttle you.
What's prompted your interest in this?
Oh, when Desmond purchased the house, the solicitor gave him a number of papers concerning the place. Contained therein were papers relating to the history of the Coreys, right down to their marriage certificate and a ground plan of their house.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, there was also a description of an old abbey that stood by the river, and a map showing where all these things stood.
It's good. This is very good.
Oh, so this is of some help then.
Oh, invaluable help. This could be the basis for building a friendship.
Oh, I can't believe it. You are fool Arthur Conan Doyle.
I feel as if some great weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
Mr. Doyle, you speak of friendship with a ghost.
Why not? Ghosts are people too. Why, once souls have passed to the other side, their interests change, but they remain essentially the same.
Personally, and I would always hoped that death would be a more affecting experience.
Oh, I believe death is probably quite invigorating for the soul.
Well, I shall ask Jane next time I see her.
And if you see her before I do, please send her my regards.
Tomas, what are you doing?
I was just polishing, ma'am, the doorknobs. They're covered in fingerprints.
With all of the absent servants, we've all been forced to take on extra duties.
I have been groundskeeping as well. I pick up rocks from the lawn.
I see.
The rocks which are biggest, I throw into the river.
How nice for you.
You want to see my rocks?
I should like to see your manuscript.
Well, I shall bring it to you after dinner.
Oh, at your convenience. Your story has been most illuminating.
You may read the historical papers too if you wish.
Well, it's a pleasure.
Tomas, have you something to say?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I must talk to Mr. Doyle. We must speak on privacy, not about rocks.
Could this not have waited?
Oh, the walls have ears, ma'am, and one must talk when they are hearing elsewhere.
I see. Well, I suppose it's nearly time for me to prepare dinner. With the servants gone, it has become my responsibility.
How awful for you.
Oh, not at all. When I was an actress, I used to cook for myself all the time. It wasn't until I became Desmond's consort that I fell out of the habit. As an actress, one does what one must. Could be worse.
How so?
I could be waiting on tables.
Are we alone? Yes! We do appear to be alone. Who do you think might be listening?
The butler Scrimshaw, he listens. My butler.
He has gone fishing.
Good. The time for talking has come. Mr. Doyle, there is something which I must do for you.
And what might
Doyle!
that be?
Mr. Doyle,
Doyle!
we will.
Doyle! Oh, good! You're here! Come quickly! You two, lad!
Mr. Weston,
Doyle, a thing to do for you.
Scrimshaw, find my wife!
Found, sir.
Desmond, Daddy? What's the matter?
A thing to do.
At the river. It was horrible.
Not now.
What is it?
In the river. We were fishing.
A thing to do for you.
It was on the rocks. Shall I fetch the police, sir?
Mr. Doyle.
Yes, what was it? Desmond!
Your body! Yvonne! She was dead.
Oh!
In the river. I think it was murder. Murder? Come, Doyle, the game is afoot. Oh. Yeah, Abigail, summon the police. Rose, stay here. Scrimshaw, come with me, sir.
Daddy, I can help! Oh, you stay in your room, young lady. I will take the coach.
We shall need help carrying it to the bank. Sir.
I can help!
Doyle and the servants will be enough.
There is a thing which I will do for you tonight, Mr. Doyle. Tonight, I will summon for you a ghost.
They've been and gone.
What are you doing?
Mr. Doyle's instructions. It is his hope to summon the ghost tonight. The movement of furniture is apparently an integral part of the process.
This is awful, just awful. Poor Yvonne, and me trapped inside the house.
Your father does not want you wandering about.
Is she truly dead?
The last time I saw her, yes.
Was it murder?
It seems so.
Oh, Scrimshaw, who could have done such a thing?
Oh, the police believe that it was a robber. Perhaps a tramp upon the road.
Tramps in our district?
The police officer said the road crew reported some petty thefts of their equipment. They blamed it on vagrants.
If you will pardon me, I will continue with my feeble chore.
What
I have no fixed opinion. All that seems certain is that Yvonne left during the night and was killed soon after.
By a stranger.
Perhaps.
By someone she knew.
I made no accusations. The matter is in good hands.
And did you examine the body?
As the nearest physician at hand, yes, but as I am an ophthalmologist, I had not a lot to say.
Who do you think did it?
I have no opinion. That, my dear, is why we have police departments.
And what are we to do in the meantime?
Play musical chairs.
No, we have important matters of our own to deal with. Specifically, communication with a ghost.
Is that what the table and chairs are for?
By all appearances, we shall be playing cards with the spirit.
Scrimshaw, really?
The table and chair's proximity to the window is necessary. This is where the ghost was last seen and where we shall contact her.
Hoorah! I expect I shall be serving tea.
All the preparation is necessary for the seance,
Seance?
which Mr. Markovich will be leading.
Tomas? Why Tomas?
Oh, apparently his mother was a gypsy spiritualist. He has learned some of her craft.
Did not know that.
Oh, it's wonderful luck to have an expert on the summoning of spirits here on the premises. Very few households come so well equipped.
Certainly adds a new and exotic dimension to the man.
Tomas should be here soon. He has preparations of his own to make.
Then I shall leave. I could not bear to see him again so soon after our separation.
I should like your presence for the summoning.
Then call me when required. I shall be in my room, reading.
And what are you reading?
Romeo and Juliet.
Why am I not surprised? Oh, thank you, Scrimshaw.
So, will you be requiring anything further? Mr.
Nothing.
Doyle?
Nothing, thank you, Scrimshaw.
Sir.
Although, I have some questions, Scrimshaw.
Yes, sir.
You saw the ghost
Yes, sir.
last night
Yes, sir.
in this room
Yes, sir.
at the window.
Yes, sir.
A little detail would be appreciated.
Yes, sir.
Well, what was it doing, man?
Doing, sir? Standing, I would say. Standing very strangely, mysteriously.
Ghost-like.
Yes, yes. Yes. Very ghost-like. Sir.
And did you speak with her?
Sir, I had the impression she had not much to speak about, but of being dead and all. I saw her standing, and then she vanished.
And you would swear to this?
Oh, indeed, sir.
Oh, wonderful. The more information I can get about the ghost, the better.
If I may be so bold as to say, sir, I should think that rather than concern ourselves with the ethereal, we should be concerning ourselves with more substantial matters.
What could be more important?
There has been a murder, sir.
And there is a mystery surrounding it.
The matter is in good hands, yes. That is a police matter.
Still, I would think with your experience, it
If
might
the
be
police have need for my experience, then they shall call for me.
The police. You know they are bumblers, bureaucrats, and buffoons. At least that's how you've always written them.
Pardon me for saying so, sir, but mustn't the needs of the recent dead take precedence over the centuries dead?
The matter is in good hands. Damn you, Scrimshaw. Do you think I don't care? I have as much feeling as the next man.
There is a murderer abroad. Is not the most pressing problem his apprehension?
Yes, isn't it?
I am not a police officer.
As you have said, sir.
However, you have been known to aid the police on occasion.
I am not here to play detective.
If you say so, sir.
Then what are you playing at?
Go away.
Very well, sir.
Good. We can be alone together.
Scrimshaw, wait.
Sir.
I have some more questions for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking.
He is an interesting specimen. One can't help but wonder how a military man ended up in such a position.
Military?
Sir?
You were in the military?
Yes, how did you know that, sir?
It was...
Elementary.
I guess.
I see.
I guess it is all right there before your eyes, if you have eyes to see.
So, you were a soldier?
No, sir.
His very bearing and demeanor suggest military training.
But you were in the army.
But the true indicator is his shoes.
I was with the Royal Engineers, sir.
They gleam like mirrors. The Royal Army is very concerned with proper footwear.
I see.
And shoe care becomes an integral part of every British soldier's training.
Anything else, sir?
Yes, actually. What can you tell me about the West Havens?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing?
A servant does not reveal confidences, sir.
That does not mean he does not know confidences.
These are extraordinary circumstances, Grimshaw. There is a ghost to be considered.
So what has this to do with the ghost?
It has nothing to do with a ghost, Doyle.
Just answer the question.
But it has everything to do with a murder investigation.
The West Havens are enormously devoted one to the other. They would let nothing come between the two of them.
And what about the
And if you're
daughter?
wondering about the daughter, she's quite remarkable.
How so?
She's fond of the disrespectable. She has hidden depths.
I see.
I thought you said you were not to play the detective, sir.
I did say that.
Oh, one can scarce tell by your questions. You sound exactly like Sherlock Holmes.
Indeed. You do.
I am done with you, Scrimshaw.
As you wish.
I am not Sherlock Holmes. The man never existed.
Yes, sir.
And what is more, he is dead. Go to your master and tell him that we shall begin shortly.
But first, the letter.
The letter.
Pardon me, sir.
The letter.
Mr. Westhaven said that you still have the letter that Yvonne left announcing her departure?
It is written in French, sir.
Just give it to me. Now off you go.
He's right. It is French. It is also written in block letters, suggesting perhaps someone else wrote it, but did not wish to reveal their own handwriting.
Or perhaps she just wanted to make sure that her message was understood.
No need to be contrary,
Or
Doyle.
you are too suspicious.
Whereas you are too eager to take everything on.
Not every belief needs to be supported by fact.
They do in a murder case. You saw the body? And what conclusions did you make? Come now, you saw the body. What observations did you make? Let us hear again the peerless verbiage that made Conan Doyle the most read man in England.
Well, she was killed by a blow to the head. She was no longer in the water. The killer probably placed the victim in the river in hopes that it would be carried to the channel. However, it was caught up on some rocks where it was found.
Very good. Any sign of the weapon?
No. But it was something heavy and blunt. Probably a rock.
Thomas's duties include the gathering of stones.
No, it's hardly conclusive.
I was not making an accusation. I was merely thinking aloud.
Too loud for my taste.
The weapon was probably disposed of in the river. What about the angle of the blow?
The blow was struck from above, suggesting that the assailant was much taller than the victim.
And how tall was she?
5'7". The assailant had to be well over 6 feet.
What else?
Well, her shoes were very muddy, as were her knees, suggesting that she must have stumbled or fallen.
Were her hands dirty?
No.
Anything else of importance?
Yes, one very unusual thing. She was not robbed, nothing was missing from her purse, and he said,
Yes?
well, her catechism was gone from her handbag. Scrimshaw clearly remembers her carrying it with her at all times.
Fascinating. This is clearly a three-pipe problem. It is a good thing I'm here.
No, you cannot be here.
There is a mystery here.
But I saw you die.
You saw what you wanted to see.
Moriarty.
Ah, yes. Moriarty.
She was created to destroy you.
Even the finest weapon can miss the target.
How did you survive?
I'm not even sure myself. Why don't you think on it? I have work to do.
As have I, the ghost.
The murder
must be investigated.
It is obvious what must be done.
Peace must be restored to this household.
Tomorrow the river must be searched.
The ghost must be consulted.
Hopefully the police have not disturbed the scene too much.
We must go to the source.
Clues must be found.
Questions must be asked.
The murder is the symptom of a greater problem.
What does the ghost of Jane Cody want?
It all begins with a single event.
But most important,
It begs the question, why was the ghost not seen until a month ago?
The ghost is supposed to be centuries old.
Yet it was not seen until recently.
Why did it come back?
What is it really?
There is but one thing to do.
Yes!
Hold the seance!
No!
It is the only way we can ask her.
Jane Corey cannot answer. She is dead.
Maybe if we asked her politely.
Doyle, there is but one way to weed out the truth.
And here is our gardener. Tomas, are you ready?
Nearly ready, sir. There are but small things to do.
I am looking forward to this. I've been to a number of seances, but I cannot say I am an expert.
This defies all rational analysis.
Yes, I know.
I refuse to take part in this charade.
Yes, I know!
Mr. Doyle, it is important for me that you know for the reason I do this. You know, I'm not all the time being a gypsy. Hold this.
Oh, tell me.
It is for love.
For Rose.
You know, you are a great detective.
Detective. No, I'm not.
Well, I love greatly Mr. Doyle. But she says our love, it cannot be. She says our love has brought the ghost.
Not so. The ghost was here long before you arrived.
And so, we must get the ghost. The ghost must tell her that we are not to blame, so that we might love again.
That is also the problem of Mr. Westhaven.
He does not know.
Oh, he does. Rose told him so herself. Apparently suspected for some time.
But we have been careful for a whole month.
Well, in any case, he knows now.
Oh, he's awful bad. But we must get the ghost. She is a tired spirit. She must be rested now. What is her name?
Oh, Jane Cody, how does all this work?
You will see soon enough. Head.
Oh! Did you know Yvonne?
Not well. She had trouble with the talking. French. But she was a nice girl. She liked it here. She was not afraid of the ghost.
But she left.
Yes.
She said conditions had become intolerable.
What?
Never mind.
Maybe something other than the ghost it sent her away.
Or maybe somebody forced her to go.
What was that?
Oh, I'm sorry, that was the voice of reason. I shall try to ignore it tonight.
It's a good idea. You know, Yvonne, she was a nice girl. She was much liked.
By the Westhavens.
Especially the Westhavens. Yvonne, she was the only servant that Mr. Westhaven would allow in his library. And Miss and Mrs. Westhaven, they would go every Sunday to church. You know, Yvonne, she went every week. Very pious she was.
And she liked it here at the Grange.
Oh, yes, very much. She said she wanted to stay here forever. She said she would be the lady of the house.
Ah! Lady of the house! The maid! Well, she certainly had high expectations.
Well, she was Catholic.
And Mrs. Jones?
Church of England.
What was she like?
The cook? She was very nervous. She jumped at everything. She was very funny. There! Oh, I think we are ready. I'm going to go and gather the others.
Oh, I am looking forward to this.
Don't! For tonight we look on the other side of the world. Tonight we see things not to be seen, and evil shall wait to catch us. We work with forces no man is meant to know. Beware! Beware! Oh, oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, good, good. Oh, good. Oh, skull in the middle of the table. Oh, good place. Yes.
Isn't this all a little extreme, Doyle?
Pardon?
Well, I appreciate good theatre as much as the next man. In fact, I am good theatre. What damnation, man? A murder has been committed here.
Mr. Westerhaven, you asked me here to investigate a ghost. And that is what I am doing to the best of my ability.
That is true, my dear. In fact, I look forward to having my mind momentarily relieved from the unpleasantness.
A bloody party game is what it is, like you hunt the chestnut or 20 questions. And what's worse, there are no prizes. Why, it's almost like performing. For free.
You must approach this with an open mind, my dear. If Mr. Doyle is of the opinion that this may help us with our plans of infestation, we should allow him to try.
Blast it, Abigail, this is not how I imagined my day would go. I expected meeting Sherlock Holmes.
I am not Sherlock Holmes.
But instead I'll spend the evening sitting around a table holding hands with the serving staff.
Well, good employee relations are important.
It's unnatural.
Oh, precisely.
It is all right, Mr. Westhaven. You have to be fearing nothing.
Oh, good God, man, what are you dressed up for? You look like the road company version of Carmen.
It is important for me to get into my family style, Mr. Westhaven.
Hey, Tomas's part gypsy.
What, in my house?
Oh, Tomas cannot help it, dear.
Okay, actually what I said was that my mama, she thought she was a gypsy. We were Bulgarian, really. But my mama, she could summon ghosts like it was nobody's business. Where is Rose?
None of your damn business.
Oh, Desmond.
I know where Miss Rose is.
Aha! That explains it. The ghost started to appear shortly after Tomas arrived. He must have brought it with him, just like a gypsy.
I travel not with ghosts, sir.
Probably explains his desire to carry off my little girl.
Oh, Desmond, really?
Probably wants to sell her, or tell her fortune, or travel to Spain or something.
Finished, dear?
Yes, how was I?
The audience loved it.
Oh, good. We are to begin. Mr. Screamshot, would you turn down the cats? Please. I will sit at the head of the table. All others must be sitting Someplace else.
Oh, no, young lady.
Father!
Oh, I will not have you holding hands with that Romanian Romeo.
He's Bulgarian, dear.
It's improper. Sit over there where I can keep an eye on you.
There will be no hand holding, Mr. Westhaven. Only table fingering.
Is that what I think it is in the middle of the table?
He's my grandpapa.
It's a skull!
So long as we're introduced.
We are to begin. Yes?
Yes!
Place hands and fingers on table like so. I ask all to think of nothing. Open your mind that the ghost might kill. And summon her we must. Nova, oh, boom.
English, please.
Mr. Westhaven, please, this is all part of the ritual.
Well, if it is an English ghost we are calling, I think it is only polite to call her in her native language.
Shalaz feels that it is necessary.
Mr. Doc, it is all right. I can do English. Ghost! Oh, ghost! Questioning Spirit woman Jane Corey, we wish to seek today. We are friends, we are all in fear. We are questioners in search of answers. We are seekers in search of findings. My grandpapa shall speak for us. Through him, seek us. Through him, speak to us. Through him, see us. I summon thee once, Jane Corey, in the name of Saint Michael.
Fascinating.
He is.
I summon thee twice in the name of Saint Jude.
Good God, Doyle, this is getting more and more ridiculous. How can you just sit there? We have work to do.
I summon thee thrice.
What is the meaning of these things by the window?
Jane Corey in the name of Saint Paul.
What is the meaning of the legend of the Corys?
Once and twice the charm is wound,
What is the meaning of the note?
and 3 times round to hold is bound.
Why was Yvonne murdered?
No, I will not listen.
Spirits speak through the ancestors' dust.
What happened to the catechism?
I can't hear you.
What's going on?
Jane Corey, we summon thee to stand with us.
What? Who are supposed to gape at the cadet events?
You do not belong.
Jane Corey, thou art summoned.
And most important,
No, you are not here.
Jane Corey, thou art
It's a
called.
bloody great storm!
There's someone in the window!
the most important question of all.
You cannot be here.
Jane Corey.
I sent you away.
Who is the ghost?
It is here.
I killed you.
Who is the ghost? Indeed.
Watson. No. Dr. Watson. I am not Watson.
Dr. Watson, come quickly. I want you. See here, Watson. It is the impression of a wooden stump. See here on the seal is the impression of a boot mark. A heavy boot with a broad metal heel. And beside it is the mark of a timber toe.
Must be the wooden-legged man.
Quite so. But there has been someone else. a very able and efficient ally. Could you scale that wall, Doctor?
Good Lord, it is absolutely impossible.
Without aid, it is so. But suppose you had a friend up here who loaned you a good stout rope, like one I see in the corner, securing one end of it with a great hook in the wall. Then I think if you were an active man, you could swarm up the walls, wooden leg and all, and depart in the fashion in which you came. And then the ally would draw up the rope, untie it from the hook, shut the window, snip it from the inside, and get away the way he originally came.
This is all very well, but the thing becomes more unintelligible than ever. How about this mysterious ally? How came he into the room?
Yes, the ally. I imagine he breaks fresh ground in the annals of crime in this country. There are parallels cases from India, and if memory serves me, Senegambia.
How came he then? The door is locked. The window is inaccessible. Was it through the chimney?
The grate is much too small. I had already thought of that possibility.
How then?
You will not apply my precept? How often have I said to you, if you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. Eliminate the impossible.
This is a dream.
Apply my precept. You know I'm right.
No, I can't.
Eliminate the impossible. Eliminate the impossible. Eliminate the impossible.
You don't understand. I like the impossible.
Sweet Cytherea, sitting by a brook, with young Adonis, lovely, fresh, and green, did court the lad with many a lovely look, such looks as none could look but beauty's queen.
Keep reading such drivel, it's no wonder you have no idea where your head is at.
What care I for affairs of the head, when I am sick at heart?
No need to be dramatic, my dear. You certainly are your father's daughter. The heart is the most foolish organ in the human body. If we were to let it do our thinking for us, the world would be full of love-struck poets, suicidal suitors, and readers of Jane Austen.
I read Jane Austen.
Exactly. Follow your heart heedlessly, and you're bound to end up in prison. Or worse yet, a theater. Speaking of which, where is your father?
Out inspecting storm damage with Tomas. And where is Mr. Doyle this morning?
Still in bed, I should imagine. I haven't seen him all morning.
I heard him cry out in the night. Do you think he has some guilty secret?
Don't we all?
Wasn't last night chillingly exciting, Mother? Ghosts and gypsies, seances and summonings. How delicious!
On the contrary, I haven't seen anything remotely as foolish.
Oh, Mother, have you no romance in your soul?
Oh, I outgrew romance, child. And whatever romantic notions I have left are directed only in your father's direction.
Have you never dreamed of a passionate love affair? A dark-eyed suitor come to woo you secretly by night? Have you never wanted to be consumed by passion?
Never! Oh, I am English. Passion is for idiots and Italians. Oh, and French. Take my word for it. Illicit love will lead to nothing but self-destruction.
Yes, I know.
Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks! Rage! Blow, you cataracts and hurricanos! Spout till you have drenched our steeples, drowned our corks.
King Lear, Act 3, Scene 2.
Is that you, dear?
The storm is over, Father. Is not something more peaceful called for?
Oh, perhaps, but who can resist the temptation to do Lear? And how does my faithful Cordelia this morn?
Well, my honored lord.
And how is my Juliet?
Oh, feeling a little Lady Macbethish this morning.
Abigail, you know better than to mention the Scottish plague. You wish to bring bad luck.
Oh, my dear, I should think that a ghost, a hurricane, and a murder more than fills our lifetime quota for battle.
Was there much damage?
Oh, no property damage whatsoever, although the horses are naturally somewhat nervous. Seems like the storm is a thing of sound and fury, signifying nothing. You're still angry with me, are you not?
Father, I am an adult.
An adult. Yes, I know, but we are no longer denizens of the theater, my dear. We are country squires now. We have a responsibility to be respectable.
But surely love may conquer all. I love him.
This too will pass. You must understand, my dear, that in a household such as ours, it is important that the distinction between the family and the lower classes be maintained.
We used to be lower class.
Lower than you might think.
And so I know exactly how terrible they are. Now, I was fortunate to rise to the position we currently find ourselves in. We are no longer just a theatrical family. We are leaders in the community.
Leaders? This gets more and more ridiculous all the time. Father, the neighbors want nothing to do with us. They write petitions to have us removed and throw stones at our gateposts.
That's because they know their place. It is important the English tradition of class envy be maintained. For the last 2 months, the servants have spoke of you and Tomas and nothing else. I had to see an end to it.
Mother, I'm afraid I must agree with your father, Rose. Affairs of passion are dangerous things, especially affairs that cross class.
And so you see why we had to see the matter closed.
Yes, I do. And for your sake and the sake of the house, I have ended my infatuation with Tomas. I see now that society also had to be protected from the impulsive instincts of my heart. No more shall Tomas and I entwined be. No more the late night intrigues of passion. No more shall his honeyed tongue speak to me of his illicit desire.
Yes, well, I don't think
No more his strong embrace. No more shall his eyes set me afire with their gaze. No more shall he speak the words that won my heart. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art
Yes,
more beautiful.
well, he's fired. I'll keep him around if she's that easily aroused.
Father!
Desmond, that is rather harsh, don't you think? What if it were you, caught in such a situation?
But, Abigail, how could you? That is besides the point. I am not Tomas. I am taller, for one thing. You must go.
If you say so.
Well, I just did.
Well, I must admit this whole affair has been rather, well, enlightening in an awful sort of way.
Much like the situation I find myself in with Mr. Doyle. It is very disheartening to realize the man you've admired for so long is nothing but a fool. That exhibition last night was utterly ridiculous.
He's doing his best.
It matters not. I will be rid of the man as soon as possible.
I shall be taking the evening train back home, Mr. Westhaven. Good morning, Mrs. Westhaven. Miss Westhaven.
Damn you. Were you eavesdropping?
It's one of the things detectives do.
You're no detective.
But I mustn't have been eavesdropping. I was in the study reading Mrs. Westhaven's manuscript. Your voice carries quite clearly.
Thin walls, Mr. Doyle.
The article voice says, Mr. Westhaven.
Oh, I did not see you up, Mr. Doyle. You must have risen before any of us.
I had a horrible nightmare and I could not return to sleep. I occupied myself by reading your book. You've done a very thorough job in your study of Baffler Grange.
Mr. Doyle.
I am leaving tonight, Mr. Westhaven.
Now, I bear you no ill will, Mr. Doyle. Actually, I do, but I'm a gentleman and I don't mention these things. Quite frankly, your methods are not what I expected, and what's worse, they have yielded no results.
But they have! Last night during the seance, I distinctly saw a figure at the window.
Now, Rose,
Codswallop.
No, it's true! I saw a woman looking through the window.
Miss Westhaven, please. Tomas confirmed that last night's experiment was a failure. No spirit was contacted.
But I saw...
You saw what your imagination thought you should see. Whatever you saw was not the ghost of Jane Corey, but you expected to see the ghost, and so your mind gave it that form. If we had been trying to contact a duck, I am sure you would have seen the greatest mallet imaginable.
Then what was it I saw?
I think Mr. Doyle would have you believe it was fairies.
I'm certain it was no supernatural force. Tomas would have felt such a thing. No, it was probably some object carried against the window by the storm. Perhaps a flash of lightning distorted by the glass. I'm sure it was some simple thing.
Like the ghost.
Mr. Westhaven, whatever else happens, I am convinced that this ghost of yours is part of a much more complicated matter than you realize.
There is nothing complicated about mass delusion, and that is all this affair has been.
Yvonne is dead. That is no delusion.
Yes. Well, the police are working on that matter, and I'm sure they'll soon have the culprit in hand. It was likely a tramp or gypsy of some sort.
Or perhaps the ghost.
How so?
Jane Corey was killed by French bandits, was she not? Perhaps she wished to revenge herself through Yvonne.
Ridiculous.
No, an intriguing hypothesis. You seem to be very well acquainted with the facts surrounding the deaths of the Corys.
Abigail brought that manuscript back out in May. The entire house could speak of nothing else for the last month.
Oh, then maybe it was suddenly all the attention given her that brought Jane Corey back from the grave.
If attention was all that was needed to raise the dead, we should be running into Pontius Pilate every Easter.
There is no ghost, Mr. Doyle, and I consider the matter settled. Now, I am a reasonable man, sir, and I expect you to return the favor. You may consider the matter dead! Oh!
You must excuse my husband, Mr. Doyle. He's in one of his moods and has been an absolute bear for the last decade.
Mr. Doyle, there was a thing you said last night.
Oh, I said many things last night.
During the seance, you said you had killed somebody.
Oh,
Perceptive girl, isn't she?
I did hear you say that, didn't I?
A rather emotional confession, I recall.
yes, I said that.
Was it true?
Rose. Excuse me. A lady does not ask such questions. Besides being impolite, there's always the dreadful possibility that a guest may answer in the affirmative.
Is it true? Did you kill someone?
Come now, Arthur. The judge might go easier on you if you confess.
If you will excuse me, I must go prepare for my departure.
Very well. Give up. I don't need you. I can solve this mystery by myself.
Mother, is it possible?
Mr. Doyle was speaking metaphorically, I hope.
I suppose so. I always thought writers were creatures of unfettered imagination and romantic fancy.
Well, perhaps he does have an unfettered imagination, but He keeps it locked up somewhere.
His imagination is wandering quite freely now.
How can something unfettered be kept locked up, Mother? That's a contradiction in terms.
So is Mr. Doyle. Well, I suppose I better go and see what your father is up to. I just hope he's not out doing Dr. Faustus to the pigeons again. The last thing we need is Mephistopheles popping in for the afternoon.
Fact. The window looks out over the west lawn towards the river and the channel. Fact. This was also the location of the abbey destroyed centuries ago. Fact. The window was the location of the doorway in the old Corey house.
Why couldn't Mr. Doyle practice more common sense?
I'm trying to do that for him. Fact. Mrs. Westhaven claims to have seen the ghost on the west lawn where it vanished.
Why can't I be more commonsensical?
Because you are a woman. Fact. Scrimshaw claims to have seen a ghost by this window, the very place I found 2 impressions in the carpet.
Love is so cruel!
That is why I avoid it. Are these facts connected? And if so, how? How does the maid's murder connect all this? Rose! Are they connected?
Oh, Tomas!
Do you mind? I'm trying. Really, this is very distracting. Don't you have some stable you can ravish her in?
No, Tomas! You mustn't! Not now, not anymore!
The first sensible thing you said today.
But Roz, I love you.
Yes, I know!
These impressions rise at an angle.
But our love must die for my family to live.
No, I am refusing to give it you up. You found it, the bravery to come to me and declare your love. Can you not now find the bravery to grow that love?
I have found the courage to sacrifice.
We will defy your father.
He is adamant.
What?
Never mind.
A tripod!
Could we not make it our love into a stony rock to stand against this fury?
Stony rock.
I am deeply in love for you. Degrade your family. Run with me away.
This man read poetry to you?
Our love is a love that dare not grow. This is goodbye, fair Tomas.
Goodbye, but why?
Oh, my love, too true. I cannot hide the truth, for I love you too dearly. My father has given you the sack.
What?
He told me so.
Wait a moment. Your father said he had heard the servants speak of your infatuation for Thomas starting 2 months ago.
But we can still be together still. We will be poor. We will be hungry. But we can be all together still. Come, be hungry with me.
To leave would be to break my poor mother's heart, and I cannot do such cruelty. Away with you, dear Tomas. I shall dream of you.
Go!
Go!
All right, I'm going then.
But you said the affair began a month ago.
This is a strange love, Rose.
Blighted love is the greatest love of all.
Sure is the weirdest.
Why the inconsistency? Is Thomas unable to keep track of time?
I am going to go and throw myself up the river now.
Oh, Tomas! How wonderfully tragic.
It is?
I shall weep for you. Bye-bye.
How can you be so cruel to one you profess love for? Don't worry, Rose. I'll take care of this scoundrel. Ha ha! Come on, you! How about you? Ha ha! Ha ha! Oh! 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 Oh my God! Oh my God, indeed. You are the one who read poetry to her. You are the servant lover. And when her father heard rumors of an affair between his daughter and a servant, she promoted a false love for Thomas to make him take the blame. I have always held a low opinion of women. Never before have I ever held such a low opinion of the British butler.
Robert.
Not now. Not now, my love.
Of course, my father.
Must never know. We've got too much to lose to allow that.
When I held your hand last night at the seance, I wished to heaven I could shout the name of my love into father's face.
But you didn't.
No, of course not.
No, of course not.
I love you, I love you, I love you.
Me too.
Speak to me of your love.
Oh, Rose.
Speak to me of passion. Speak to me of desire. Speak to me of things.
Ugh. It almost makes one long for Doyle's romances. At least he can write dialogue.
Oh, my darling, we must not be seen alone together. Desmond must never suspect. Tonight.
How can I wait that long?
I will see you tonight.
Until then, my love, my heart's own, my truest something.
Right. See you later.
Wow. I am a fool. The clues were all there. I should have deduced this relationship from the start. But then the solution to the female equation has always eluded me.
Oh, this is a flying start, Mrs. Westhaven.
Oh, I shall appreciate any advice that you can give me, Mr. Doyle. Have you anything in particular to suggest?
A tripod!
What?
Mr. Doyle?
The impressions were made by 2 legs of a tripod set by the window.
Have you anything to suggest?
Oh, yes, find yourself a sensible theme and stick to it.
You think it's a good book, then?
It's possible.
I found something out about the girl.
I've read it cover to cover and think there are some very good stories in it.
I do too.
Watch it, Doyle. She's up to something, and there's more to her than meets the eye.
I especially like the way Mother described the deaths of Ronald and Jane Corey.
Oh, yes, very vivid.
Don't let it trap you!
Death makes such interesting stories, don't you think? Rose? So who did you kill, Mr. Doyle?
And the trap is sprung.
I did hear you say you killed someone. Rose, stop playing.
Yes, but I was not talking of a real person.
Who? Sherlock Holmes, of course.
Yes.
Thank heaven.
He's been preying on my mind a great deal. I never liked him, you know.
So you keep saying. And why don't you like Mr. Holmes?
I must admit, I too am curious about that.
Sherlock Holmes is totally unrealistic. The real world cannot be atomized, categorized, or alphabetized. And yet that is all Holmes does. The spirit of humanity reduced to a scientific notation. The passions of the soul dissected and preserved in a formaldehyde jar. The real world is full of mysteries far too wonderful for Holmes to ever deal with. Phantoms, psychic communication, spirit photography, these are all things that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. And yet Holmes would deny them all. He has no place in my universe, so I killed him.
A crime of passion, as if you could be guilty of anything else. I want you to think about some things.
I think your problem, Mr. Doyle, is that your imagination is more logical than your real life, whereas your life is more fantastical than anything you could have imagined.
Rose said her lover read poetry to her. In fact, she quoted one of Shakespeare's sonnets. Does that sound like Thomas to you?
Father said Professor Moriarty killed Mr. Holmes in Switzerland.
Not him again, Doyle. Listen, Rose, the butler.
I did the deed. Moriarty was merely the weapon I created to commit the crime. Professor James Moriarty.
The Napoleon of crime.
A genius. A philosopher. An abstract thinker.
The organizer of half that is evil, nearly all that is undetected in the great city of London.
Oh, I contrived to place these two great men in opposition.
I tell you, Watson, that if I could best that man, I should feel as if my career had reached its summit.
Holmes and Moriarty, two men of passionless, inhuman intellect. To pit them one against the other could only ensure mutual destruction.
He has a brain of the first order. He sits motionless like a spider in the center of his web. And that web has 1,000 radiations. And he knows well every quiver of them.
Holmes set about destroying Moriarty's web of crime, but my weapon was well made. And the spider escaped to stalk its hunter.
He will devote his whole energies in revenging himself upon me.
And in Switzerland, I laid my trap. There, at the edge of Reichenbach Falls, a swirling torrent, where the swollen river hurls itself into an immense chasm, a creaming, boiling pit of incalculable depth. And on the edge of that dizzying precipice did they meet, my carefully tooled weapon and my helpless victim. They threw themselves into combat, grappling above the seething foam, until too close to the abyss, they tumbled into the gorge, locked in each other's arms, there to lie for all time. And that is how, malice aforethought, I killed Sherlock Holmes.
But it is only a story.
A day after that story was published, I began to receive mail from outraged readers. 2 days later, a woman in the street screamed at me, accusing me of murder. They knew that it was no simple fiction that I had killed, but a real living creature.
But I survived.
Nobody could survive.
Ever hear of Baritsu?
No possibility of escape.
None.
It is the Japanese system of wrestling.
I created him. I destroyed him.
I managed to slip through the professor's grip as he tumbled over the edge. And thus, I escaped.
So Holmes is no more.
Oh, he's no more than a memory.
A living memory.
I think you regret your action, Mr. Doyle. I think that there's still some small part of you that misses Sherlock Holmes.
Sometimes.
Really? Arthur, can this be true, you old sentimentalist?
But not often, no. Holmes is a closed chapter in my life. I can now devote my life to more practical pursuits.
Such as psychic phenomena.
Yes.
Oh, come now, Doyle. That is only escapist nonsense.
Oh, you poor man.
What?
I know the very highest forms of affection, Mr. Doyle. I have read Pride and Prejudice 9 times. How can you something so much, and yet still care so much for it?
Sherlock Holmes, no. I care not a whit for him.
Then why are you so guilty about killing him?
Have the police reported back concerning Vaughan's demise?
You are guilty. You regret your actions.
Rose, it appears that Mr. Doyle is unable to discuss his literary creation, the thing that has made him the celebrated individual he is today.
Madam, I have other achievements.
Not many.
So I think it best that we leave Mr. Doyle with his reflections on poor Yvonne's death. No doubt the spirit of Jane Corey will welcome the new company.
Mrs. Wesley, but I need not defend my beliefs to you. You saw the ghost yourself.
Oh, I have seen ghosts, Mr. Doyle, but I do not choose to live with them. Come, Rose.
The quiet cruelty of womankind. It never ceases to amaze me.
I deserve it. They're very deceptive.
In comparison to some people, perhaps?
And are you leaving?
You know I cannot. We are inexorably bound together. We are like Siamese twins, joined at the brain.
Splendid. The one I wish to be most rid of, and the one I shall never escape.
Did you know that there are some who believe that both I and Dr. Watson truly live?
I know that.
And those same people believe that you are nothing more than a literary agent for Dr. Watson.
Ha! I think I should prefer that existence. Dr. Watson I could deal with. You are the abomination.
I am what you made me.
Stop saying that! I lost control over you long ago. I created a device, not a person. A simple expedient for solving mysteries using scientific principles. I did not intend you to be a real human being.
And yet here I am. It is not within my being to romanticize or to be overly philosophical. But you have invested me with a life. And for all your protestations, you have invested me with humanity.
Tell you, this is not Sherlock Holmes speaking.
I'm not just a mathematician of crime. You gave me adventures and mysteries. You placed in me the desire to right wrongs and root out solutions to the most dastardly of crimes. You allowed me moments of love and moments of despair. I have had death-defying struggles. I have brought the evil to justice. I have even rescued yon damsel in distress. There may be much in me of what you hate, but there is a glimmer in me of what you admire too.
How dare you? I know who Sherlock Holmes is. Don't you defend him to me. I didn't kill you. I switched you off. I know the gears that drive your soul.
Very well. Have you deduced the true identity of the spirit?
It is the ghost of Jane Corey.
You said you created me to be a problem-solving machine. Then use me. There is a mystery here. I can provide the solution. Let me do the work you made me for. Now, if she truly is a centuries-old ghost, why has she been only seen for the last month?
Oh, ghostly sightings are sporadic at best.
If she truly is a ghost, why did she not come when called to your seance? Ha ha! Finally, at last, some doubt seems to have penetrated that stubborn intellect.
No, the seance was conducted correctly. Mind you, there are no guarantees. If it is not a ghost, what is it?
That is what we must discover.
But where shall we find the clues?
We have no need of clues. We have facts.
Such as?
The ghost has only been seen for the last month. This coincides
With Mrs. Westhaven's manuscript! There is a connection!
Then there is the relationship between Miss Westhaven and the butler.
Oh, they are in love.
How did you know?
The clues are all there. I'm surprised you didn't figure it out sooner. Wait a moment. The description of the ghost.
And then there is the tripod.
Oh, but where do we find meaning in that fact?
Mr. Doyle! Mr. Doyle! I have found it something. I would say the first place to look is in Thomas's hand.
Behold, Mr. Doyle, by the river, I have found it.
Let me examine it. Give it to me. Hand carved, not too old, not much of a point. Dirt on the end indicates that it was at one time embedded in the ground. When exactly did you find this?
Out by the west lawn.
But that is when Mrs. Westhaven said she saw the ghost, correct?
Yes.
Is there anything significant about that spot?
Is there anything significant about that spot?
Nothing, but it is where the old abbey used to stay.
You read the manuscript. How was the abbey destroyed?
It was abandoned during the reign of Henry VIII. Stones were stolen for other building projects. It disappeared completely nearly 75 years ago.
I have been picking up these stones.
Stones from that abbey must be holding up bridges and houses all over the district.
Of course, the ghost plays no part in this. The solution is purely human.
You see it then?
Well, of course, it's elementary. The rod, the tripod, the manuscript, it's bloody obvious.
The next step is also obvious. We must confront the culprits with their crimes.
Things would have gone so much smoother.
Mr. Doyle, are you all right?
Tomas! Oh, I want you to saddle up a horse and then take this note down the road to the person who's in charge of the crew widening the road. Okay, bring back his reply as soon as possible.
I will go, Mr. Doyle, as quick as the wind. As quick as the wind. It is important?
Yes, it is the last piece of information that I need. You are not. Yes! I know what the ghost of Jane Conan really is.
And I know who murdered Yvonne.
You do?
Yes, and if I know it, you know it. We came too late to save the damsel in distress, Doyle, but we can still see justice will be done.
Mr. Doyle, sir,
Excuse me, all.
did you enjoy your walk, sir?
Yes. Thank you. I had some thinking to do.
Very good for you. The family is currently in the process of finishing their dinner. They will be joining you shortly.
Oh, thank you, Scrimshaw. And do make sure that Tomas is coming too. And yourself, of course.
As you wish, sir.
You need not be so concerned, Doyle. The trap is set. There shall be relatively no danger.
I should have called the police.
That is not how the game is played.
This is the kind of thing that we have the police for.
The clues we have support our conclusions. However, they are not conclusive enough to guarantee convictions. When we present the perpetrators with our case, they will be unable to contradict our conclusions, and they will confess. It is the way you've written it 12 times. What is bothering you?
I met someone.
Just now, outside,
Yes.
a witness.
Yes?
Good heavens, man, why didn't you say something earlier? It could have some bearing on the case.
Well, the fact is that
Yes.
Mr. Westhaven,
Did you ever read The Sign of Fall?
I wrote the Sign of Four.
It was one of the first Sherlock Holmes stories I ever read. Now, I remember being amazed how a person could reconstruct an entire crime scene through close observation and simple logic.
Oh, yes, but...
So I've read your other works, Ladies in Distress and Knights and Swords.
And those are my works that will truly endure.
You are fooling yourself, Mr. Doyle. We live in an age of science now. We don't use swords that often.
No, but...
And then you created Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, give me strength, damnable reader.
Holmes was a new kind of knight, one whose weapon was an intellect more keen than any sword's edge.
A perceptive reader.
He is nothing more than a carefully crafted thinking machine.
Mr. Doyle, you are deluding yourself. There was something Holmes said in The Sign of Four. He said, whenever something is impossible, it, whenever something is improbable.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth.
Yes. Well, here's something improbable but true that you must accept.
And what might that be?
People like Sherlock Holmes. It is entirely possible that in 100 years' time, Holmes will be the only reason that you will be remembered.
Oh, sir, you would condemn me to hell.
Awful. But a line like that requires more projection and emotion. Sir! You would condemn me to hell! Now that is a line reading. Mr. Doyle, you deny your immortality. Sherlock Holmes has ensured you a place in history. Improbable, but true.
And trust an actor to get philosophical without writing credits.
I too have something improbable that I must accept.
And what might that be?
I require the aid of Sherlock Holmes. When Holmes is pushed off of a cliff in Switzerland.
I survived. Did you ever hear of Baritsu? It is the Japanese system of wrestling.
And as improbable as it may seem, Mr. Doyle, the only place that Holmes is alive is in you. Now, I need a ghost put to rest. If you want to do that by holding seances, raising the dead, or reading tea leaves, then do it. Now, I have little confidence in you, Mr. Doyle, but I have the fullest confidence in the mind that created Sherlock Holmes. Will you stay, Mr. Doyle?
I am leaving tonight, Mr. Westhaven.
Mr. Doyle.
But before I go, I shall be revealing the true cause of everything that has plagued this household.
You will.
Mr. Westhaven, I need for you to answer me one question. I believe I know the answer, but you can confirm it. What was the nature of your relationship with Yvonne?
She was my maid.
The truth, sir. The evidence, though circumstantial, does suggest a different sort of relationship. You were servant allowed in your private library.
That is unusual enough to begin with.
Combined with Tomas's report of Yvonne's wholly excessive expectations of advancement within this household.
And your not unfounded reputation as a seducer of women.
An obvious conclusion can be formed. Mr. Westhaven, if Yvonne's spirit is to ever find peace, I need the truth now.
We shared intimacies. I was fond of the girl.
Why did she leave?
Oh, I don't know.
Did anyone else know of your affair?
No.
Yes. I'm sorry, sir, but most of the staff knew.
Of course they knew.
Yvonne was not the most taciturn of people. But staff kept your secret, sir. We saw no reason to upset the household.
Or lose their jobs for repeating such a dangerous rumor.
Sir, your wife and daughter are just coming in. Might be wise to...
Yes, we shall change the in 1723 from native stone by a local squire. Come in, my dears. Come in. Right over here. Mr. Doyle.
I believe I have it in my ability to reveal the circumstances behind the events of the past month.
Every event? I hope you won't be suggesting supernatural forces, Mr. Doyle. I don't know what to serve at an exorcism.
Now's the time, Doyle.
No. Tomas should be here. Oh, come in, Tomas. Sit down, please. We've been waiting for you. Oh, quick out there.
Play this carefully. Present the information, but watch for any dangerous retaliations.
But is this the proper way to conclude the investigation? Lecturing to a group of highly agitated individuals?
It's the way I've always done it.
Then I am going to have to be more creative in my future mystery writing. This is insane. I suppose you are all wondering why I called you here tonight.
And that clever opening came from the mind of the greatest writer living in England.
Mr. Westhaven summoned me to Baffler Grange in order to prove the recent ghost sightings a hoax. Of course, I was loath to do so. In any case, I'm always willing to meet the supernatural on its own terms.
And I suppose you have proof this was a true phantom?
Do you, Mr. Doyle? That would be wonderful.
I have no such proof. Rather, the facts seem to indicate that the phenomenon is not the ghost of Jane Corey, but a wholly human agency.
I told you.
And that human agency is in the room. Caution, Doyle.
The ghost, it's no ghost?
No.
But I saw something.
As did I.
What you have been seeing for the past month was not a ghost, but it resembled one so closely that a person could be excused for taking it as such, especially with the stories of the Corey ghost circulating about the household.
A fable, but one with a great deal of significance.
Because of my manuscript.
Exactly. Just like Miss Westhaven last night, the mind already had a predisposition towards a ghostly explanation.
And thus the cook saw the ghost she expected to see.
Then what was this thing?
A tree, perhaps?
No. Mrs. Westhaven, can you describe what you saw?
It was white and glowing in the shape of a woman. I saw it and then it vanished.
White and glowing.
The moon, perhaps?
No. What were the weather conditions like that night?
Clear, moonlit, cold. Oh, and there was a mist from the river.
So what was it?
A badger, perhaps?
No. It was Miss Westhaven.
Rose.
What?
It is the only logical explanation.
She was wearing this. Standing out on the lawn with a lantern at her feet supplying the glow, she could easily be mistaken for a ghost, especially when viewed from the bedroom window.
But the ghost disappeared.
A simple illusion. She simply extinguished her lamp. With the illumination gone, she was lost in the darkness.
Well, Mr. Doyle, this is ridiculous. Why would my daughter go about playing ghost?
Yes, Mr. Doyle. Why?
Oh, she wasn't playing a ghost. She was simply mistaken for one while in the midst of another activity. It was secret, and thus it had to be done at night. However, it also required to have to be seen, and thus the necessity of the lantern. It also required to have to stand motionless on the lawn.
But what would require that?
Fishing, perhaps?
Miss Westhaven, will you stand?
Mr. Doyle, really, I have
Miss
no
Westhaven,
re-
please, you are only making this more difficult. is your ghost.
What's that she's holding?
Do you recognize it?
It's a bloody great stick.
It is a homemade surveyor's rod. That, in conjunction with an optical device called a transit, can plot points on a landscape. Rose needed a lantern to be seen by the person operating the transit, which was set up on a tripod by the window.
But where does one get a transmit?
A transit. A transit. One was stolen from the road crew. It was in a reply that you brought me.
But who operated it?
There is only one person here with engineering experience. Rose's partner and lover.
Tomas?
No, it was...
It was I, sir.
Scrimshaw?
Robert.
You see, Doyle? Confront them with the facts, and it all tumbles out like a sack full of cats.
I am in love with your daughter, sir.
And I love Robert. He is my love, my one true love.
What? Yes, Rose, but I...
The one to whom I have pledged my heart, my soul, my life.
What?
Never mind.
Rose and
I am his and he is mine, together through eternity despite...
Why, yeah.
Sorry.
That was more than I needed to hear.
But Mr. Doyle, Scrimshaw said that he too saw the ghost.
Oh, Scrimshaw didn't create the stories of the ghost. But it was in his interest to keep them circulating. It emptied the house and thus protected the secrecy of his activities.
Why were Rose and Scrimshaw operating survey equipment?
They were searching for the Corey fortune. Using the ground plan from the manuscript as a guide, they began plotting the location of the old abbey.
But why the Abbey?
Because, you little Balkan buffoon. That's where Ronald Corey hid the treasure. The book says that he hid it in a vault. Well, there could be no such thing in a simple wooden home. But the
Abbey would have a vault beneath the altar. Starting from the window, which they knew to be the location of the old corridor, they began plotting the foundations of the Abbey structures.
Very good, Doyle. There is a little bit of me and you after all.
They didn't get very far in a month's time.
Oh, well, surveyors use stakes to mark their points. These two had to use markers that could easily be overlooked. Stones.
I have been picking up stones from the lawn.
Exactly. Which is why the tripod was set up again only 2 nights past.
We had to start all over again. And it was cold.
So there is your ghost. One very cold young lady standing for her butler to see her.
You see, Doyle, simple, rational explanations for everything.
I am very disappointed in you, young lady.
I don't care. I did it for love.
Although misguided, there was nothing criminal in her actions. In fact, the only crime committed was Scrimshaw's theft of the transit.
Nevertheless, you shall be punished. I am taking away all your romance books.
Father!
For the next year, you shall read only what I give you. I think the Crime and Punishment and Les Miserables are good places to start.
Social commentary! I shall die! I shall surely die!
Your daughter is in need of revivification, dear.
And as for you, you may consider yourself out of a job. You're fortunate I don't turn you into the police.
Call the police. I don't care. Serving you was like a prison.
I did my Shakespeare for you.
A prison with torture.
Scrimshaw seems bitter, dear.
Well, he is a butler.
And me, Mr. Westhaven, am I still sacked, am I?
No, Tomas, I was misled. You may continue working here at the Grange.
Could I be the butler?
No. Well, congratulations, Mr. Doyle. You have put an end to the entire mystery.
Come, Doyle. All that remains is the final few steps.
There is still a murder.
Oh, and have you solved that too? By Jove, you are Sherlock Holmes.
I first thought that the ghost and the murder were in some way connected. Miss Westhaven suggested this as well.
Heathcliff? Is that you?
Come, Doyle.
No. If I am to do this, it must be by myself. Yvonne left the house leaving behind a note. The reason given for her departure was intolerable conditions.
That could be the ghost.
Well, then why not just say that? So many others have left the house using that excuse. Why be circumspect? Never mind.
Because something else forced her to leave.
Exactly. And that reason was she was being seduced by her employer.
Father! How wonderful!
The servants knew of this. As I suspect, so did you, Mrs. Westhaven. It explains some of the more pointed remarks you made to your husband regarding cross-class romances.
Abigail.
I knew of your reputation when I married you, Desmond.
No, not another woman, but Yvonne, I was weak. It is unforgivable.
Oh, it is. Unforgivable. But it was over, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I still love you, Desmond. I love you so much.
Oh, Abby.
And there is the reason why Yvonne left. And it provides the only possible motive for murdering the poor girl. Mr. Westhaven to cover his indiscretion, Mrs. Westhaven out of jealousy and to remove her rival.
Well, who did it?
I don't want to know.
Come, Doyle. You must finish this.
I don't want to do this.
Justice must be served, Doyle. If you won't do it for justice, do it for Yvonne. Put her soul to rest.
The way the crime was committed, those who did it. The blow to the head was struck from a steep angle, suggesting that the assailant was much taller than Yvonne, perhaps as much as 1.5 feet taller.
But neither Mr. or Mrs. Westhaven are that tall.
But see, they would be significantly taller in proportion to Yvonne if she were kneeling. Mud was found ground into her knees, but not her hands. If she had stumbled, she would have gotten her hands dirty. Her hands were clean. She purposefully knelt down. The blow was to the top of the head, which means Yvonne was looking down. She was bowed in prayer.
The missing
It was
catechism.
in her hands as she prayed. It was left behind at the murder scene when the body was moved. She did not look up, despite the fact that the murderer was standing right in front of her. She knew the person was there, a person with whom she had shared this moment before. Mrs. Westhaven, I spoke to a witness. You were seen.
Abigail?
I saw her leave the house that night. I followed her to the thicket by the river. I was so angry.
Mrs. Westhaven, I strongly
No,
advise you-
Mr. Doyle! I need to do this. I'd never been really angry until that moment. What she did was then to run out like some thief in the night. I needed to hear her apologize. I needed to hear her admit that she had dropped you.
Abby,
You must hear this too, Desmond. I did it as much for you. I caught up with her. She was crying. That made it worse somehow. Somehow it made me all the angrier. She begged for forgiveness. She kept apologizing. But something turned cold within me. And I told her that she should ask God for forgiveness. Within moments, she was on her knees before me, her hands to her breast. Suppose that's where the catechism was held. She asked for forgiveness. She asked for blessings and mercy for me. How could she do that? And then she began to ask forgiveness for you, Desmond. I couldn't take anymore. The rock was nearby. And with both hands I brought it crashing down upon her head. It made not a sound. Slowly, the light of reason returned to my brain. And when I realized what I had done, I screamed! Isn't it strange that the murderer should scream when the victim did not?
Abby, what have I done?
Hush, my dear. I struck the blow. I carried the body to the river. I returned home. I couldn't sleep. That's when I saw the ghost, Rose, out on the lawn. For a strange moment, I thought I was seeing Yvonne out there. But then the ghost vanished. I was relieved. I felt safe, even with Arthur Conan Doyle set to arrive the next day. Mother, I warned you of the dangers of passion, my dear. It is a dangerous delirium, a perilous obsession. Come, Desmond. It is time. We must go to the police.
What?
I must confess.
Abby, no, I...
Tomas! You will bring out the coach, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Westhaven, I shall be keeping the sack. This house, it is too much sad, too much love to be safe.
Come now, Desmond. We must do what is right. You must be the Lear to my Cordelia. Brave front as we go to our final good. Mother, oh yes, you may come too, my dear. And bring your lad also, I shall appreciate the company. Oh, Mr. Doyle, will you look after my manuscript?
Of course.
Oh, and do be a dear and lock up after you go.
I will.
Science and logical deduction do their work again. Another criminal brought to justice.
She was no criminal. Only a woman too much in love with her husband. It was a moment of overwhelming passion.
Passion is always overwhelming, and that is why I avoid it. You said you saw a witness to the crime.
Yeah? We met while I was out on my walk just now.
Who was it?
Oh, you're not gonna like it.
Who was it?
Jane Corey.
What?
It was the damnedest thing. There I was, walking by the river to gather my thoughts. I looked up, and there she was.
I suppose she was all transparent and glowing.
Oh, no. She seemed quite substantial. There was nothing unusual about the woman. She merely introduced herself and asked me to follow her. She took me to a spot on the river, and she told me that that was where the murder had taken place. I took a moment to look about, and when I looked up, she was gone.
Good heavens, Doyle! Some farm girl takes you for a walk in the woods and you are convinced she is a ghost? If that's all it took, we'd have farm boys all over the country communing with the afterlife on a regular basis. And how did you even know it was the crime scene? That storm last night would have washed away any blood or marks in the soil. What is that?
Yvonne's catechism. Her name is on the front page. I was found but a few feet from the spot I was taken to.
Very well. She was a witness. It still doesn't mean she was a ghost.
I am convinced that she was a ghost.
Well, I'm not convinced.
And you never will be. Goodbye, Sherlock. I shall not be needing your talents for the trip home.
You can't get rid of me, Doyle. We are each the other's final part.
Oh, I killed you once,
And it didn't take.
and I shall try ignoring you. We'll see how that works.
You can't run from yourself, Doyle. Wherever you go, I shall be there.
Farewell, Sherlock. Do be a dear and lock up before you go.
You can't get rid of me that easily, Doyle! I'll be